the film opens. The first scene. I was like, I think I hate this film. It opened and it was like a slave song playing, and I'm like, what? Like, wait in the war. And then it shows like a campus, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I heard that all in the background. I was like, ew. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Mostly Wrong Opinions. I am Tyrone. That is Devin. Today on the show, we have a Amazon Prime film. It stars Regina Hall and some no names. It's called Master.
It's called Massa.
That's what I didn't want to say it like that.
Last name, first name?
Lauren. Jasmine.
Guys, she got the room.
This film revolves around a lot of racial things, but it's not put in a very comprehensive way, and in any way.
Yeah, this movie is like 93 movies happening at the same time, but on its surface, I guess there's two movies happening at the same time, because there's the movie's about it's a very unfocused movie.
It's about
I'm like, which one do I start with? I guess since you mentioned Regina Hall, I guess I'll start there. She is a newly hired, was it a student master? Is that what her title was?
A huge honor to be stepping into the role of Belleville housemaster for the first time.
Doesn't matter.
Which is basically an overseer.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She's got a high position at this Ivy League school, and the position's got the name master in it. That's all the movie's particularly cared about, right? And she's the first black woman to have this position, and she seems to be experiencing all these microaggressions and racism, and you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But also at the same time, the movie's about a student who is also experiencing racism, and you expect naturally that these two paths would cross, but they don't. These are two separate movies happening in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I think these two characters shared 3 scenes together. One scene, they didn't speak to each other because the student was just in the crowd watching the old girl speak. The other scene, they did speak, but it was very brief, and they spoke about someone else. And in the third scene, she was in the hospital, and that was it.
The fourth scene, that character was dead.
Well, that's not. She wasn't there. She was like, that was like a body hanging off the fucking ceiling. So I'm like, these characters didn't interact. So I'm like, why is this all in the same movie? And then not only that, I'm sorry to go on a little rant here, but not only that, the two characters are like thematically different, right? So you got like one character seems to experience these microaggressions coming from her colleagues, right? Yeah. And she seems to see ghosts of racism past in these very well-intentioned, I guess, liberal elite type people at this college. But then separately, the student seems to think she's being haunted by a witch, and I guess the racism for her is like a witch that she should like run from, or so I'm like, which one is it? Is racism a witch, or is racism a ghost? Because like, I think these are two good ideas, but you gotta pick one.
Yeah, pick one.
pick one. Pick an idea. Pick one.
Yeah. Then you have the nugget of the third black woman or woman. I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah. There's another woman who it comes into question as to whether she is black or if she's white and passing as black. And it's like, who gives a fuck? Why is this part of the film? That could be its own movie altogether.
I kind of feel like she wasn't needed.
Yep.
She just wasn't needed in this film. A lot of things wasn't needed, but especially her part. At one point, I thought they were trying to make it seem like she was the killer, or she was the person who was haunting the student, but because she came off as a person that gave her the bad grade, who was telling her to look more deeper into the thing for racism and all this sort of stuff. But it was just blood. I would just rather just have the film just focus around Regina Hall and that's it.
She was mixed, but she was raised by white people who didn't want to acknowledge that she was mixed, right? And so like they were kind of in denial over her like identity, and she grew up with that kind of like, I guess like confused background. I feel like that's interesting all on its own. But then, like you said, they kind of made her seem like she was the villain, but then they didn't. But then the very end, like her last shot, she puts on the hood, which is the same hood as the witch's hood. So I'm like, wait, was she the witch?
Was she the witch?
And I'm like, wait, okay, so but there is no witch, right? Because the witch is just a metaphor for, you know, all the white kids picking on this black girl, right? In this, the tradition, there is no actual witch. The tradition is just the white kids put the black girl in this one room and they all pick on her. The kind of messed up thing about this film is you could tell it's well intentioned. You could tell that the writer director, because the same woman, she wrote and directed this film, which is pretty cool. You could tell she's full of ideas, but you know what she needs? She needs an editor, yo. She needs someone to be like, hey, pick one. You know what I'm saying? Pick one of these.
One of your ideas. Here.
Yeah. If you want to do the student thing, let's do that. You want to do the headmaster thing? Let's do that. You want to do the biracial thing? Let's do that. But to do them all at the same time, it's like, it makes a movie feel jumbled and unfocused. It feels like there's a movie, and the movie was like a glass vase, and someone just dropped it on the floor. And now it's just all these little individual pieces, and you're trying to put this thing together, but you're like, what the fuck is this? So it's very like scatterbrained. Like the movie doesn't know what it wants to be or what it's about.
And it's because of that editor who edited this film was like, all right, I'm gonna put this scene next to this scene, and then this scene next to this scene, in no really chronological order.
No, the order didn't seem to matter. Like, and then when you start thinking about the film, yo, so like on its own, right? Some of these pieces are cool, and you could see a movie here, right? So you start thinking about things like the headmaster lady. There's like a rot in the house, you know what I mean? There's like maggots coming out of drawers, and you're like, and so you're like, oh, okay, I see. The rot is symbolic for like this racism that's just permeating through the house, and you're like, okay, that's a good idea. But then she's like, racism's a ghost. And you're like, wait, hold on. So is racism a rot or is it a ghost? Or is it both? But then the movie will cut to this girl who's being haunted by a witch. And you're like, oh, okay, so racism is a witch? Okay. But then you're like, okay, so this witch had killed people before who lived in her room. And it seems very clear that the people who lived before her in that room were also black, right? But their blackness was kind of painted over, you know, literally painted over, where the painting was like a black woman in like white face. Yeah. So you're like, what? It's just like so much. There's like so much happening in this film.
It really didn't know what it wanted to be, and it kind of felt like a student film.
It did. It felt like an elevated student film. I'm glad you said that. I forgot to mention, this is supposed to be a horror film, and this film visually, you can tell it's trying to take cues from a lot of like 70s horror films, right? Like it's got like a lot of weird colors. Like the hallway will just suddenly turn green or blue or red, you know, and you know, that kind of stuff. And there's weird like shaky zooms that go into things, like very 70s-ish. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like Rosemary's Baby or Suspiria, which sounds great. So you're like, wow, horror film about race that sounds like Rosemary's Baby and Suspiria. Yeah, no, that's like the most surfacey stuff. This movie has like big aspirations, but like I said, it is a broken vase on the floor. It is a mess.
I recommended this film for us to watch and review, and I apologize to both of us.
Never apologize. I like movies. I like good movies. I like bad movies. This movie is a bad movie, but there are good things you can get out of this. I've always said that you'll know when black people have made it when we can fail and it doesn't mean anything. We can just fail on our own. Our failure is just our failure, right? It's just like us, or us as an individual. Unfortunately, what happens is we tend to fail as a group, right? So it's like, but we don't rise as a group, right? If one black person does something great, then great. You're just LeBron James. You're just you're just Barack Obama, right? But if you fail, it's like, oh, all these black movies suck. They need to get rid of these race movies, you know. So we all kind of fail at the same time. And I'm kind of hoping that this movie can just fail on its own, you know. But I did a little perusing on the internet, and there are little rumbles about how maybe this black horror thing has gone too far, and I'm like, damn. So here we are, failing all together at the same time, and that's frustrating. But hopefully, that's just those are one-offs.
Let's give this messy film a messy rating. So with all that being said, I gotta give this film a 4.
A 4. Yep, I think a 4 is appropriate. I'm gonna give this film a 4 too. So for Drive My Car, I was bored. You know what I'm saying? Master though, I was like mad, and I was frustrated. I was grabbing. I was like trying my head, trying to help this movie. I'm like, come on now, and the movie just fell. It was garbage. The movie fell out the window like old girl. And then I thought she was gonna be dead. I was like, okay, so she jumps out the window, she flips out. Everybody thinks she killed herself, but she didn't. Then she's alive. I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess there's something more to do with this character. Then she dies in literally the next scene. Like the next scene, she's dead. I'm like, what? Why didn't you just kill her when she fell out the fucking window? What did we learn anything new with her lying in the hospital? Like,
what was the thing that they learned that the director wanted to let everyone know that she learned that it's everywhere, and that's why I said it's everywhere.
Right. That there was no witch. There was just mean old white people teasing her, I guess. And then it's like, it's a black girl hanging. I'm like, that's tacky. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Super tacky.
That's tacky. Like, let's do something else. Just ever throw herself out the fucking window. I ain't gotta hang this black girl. Jesus Christ. I do not recommend it. As much as I wanted to like the idea of this film, boy, oh boy, what a mess. The film opens. The first scene, I was like, I think I hate this film. It opened and it was like a slave song playing, and I'm like, what? Like, wait in the wall. And then it shows like a campus, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I heard that all in the background. I was like,
yeah, I was like, that's tacky. And there's like a scene where the black girl, this guy starts flirting with her, and this white girl sees it, and she's who's her roommate, and I'm like, okay, so there's an idea there about how maybe black women are kind of over-sexualized or something. Like, the movie's just all over the place, yo. It's just like 93 ideas, and it just, damn, they just went all over the place.
It's like she would start writing something about that, and then she'll stop.
Yeah.
And then she'll move on to something else that she had an idea. Ooh, this is nice. And he'd be like, okay, stop.
Yeah, I think with someone else at the helm, I think you could take maybe one of these ideas and make a good movie. Also, did Regina Hall look bored to you? She looked bored as shit. Like,
yeah.
She was just like standing around looking at things. She looked like she was like zoned out. It was very toned down. Yeah. Again, this is a horror film, and she's supposed to be like scared to death, screaming, and I'm like,
because she was acting the direct opposite of her scary movie character, because when those bells rung, boy, her scary movie character would have got the hell on, because you're the only person that's in the damn house. You hear a bell upstairs. Right. Get the hell out of here.
Again, that's kind of like that ghost metaphor. Like, okay, the ghost idea is a good idea. It's a good idea. Like, the ghost seems to be ringing this servant thing. So it's like, oh, they're calling her the servant. I see. Okay. Yeah. And then like again, these like super liberal elite people, they're using this black lady's face to cover up their racism, right? They're like, I'm not racist. How could I be racist if I'm standing next to a Negro? You know, I think they're kind of doing it. Like, and I like that's an interesting idea. Let's flesh that out. They don't, because there's no time, because we gotta switch stories to this student.
Regina Hall said at the end, she's like, I'm not no headmaster. I'm the help. Right. I'm the cleaner.
Yeah, she was like a shield, like, so everybody could do their racist shit.
If anything positive about the film, if there's anything that's positive about the film, it's her recognition at the end. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
But see, I feel like you can read that as like giving up. I'm like, what, you just give up? Like, I don't know. So
it was a lot of giving up because you had a person. You had 3 black women. You had a black person who accepted her fate of this whole horror bullshit that was going on and just killed herself. Well, I guess suicide or whatever.
Is that accepting your fate?
I don't know what it is.
I felt like in the movie that was also giving up.
I don't think this is the best place for you to be right now.
You're wrong. It doesn't matter where I go. It's everywhere.
I gave this film a 4. Devin gave this film a 4. We do not recommend you see this on Amazon Prime. Watch anything else. Have a good day. We'd like to thank you for clicking on this video. If you can do us a favor, help us out a little bit more. Click that subscribe button right over there to your bottom right. It's red and nice and pretty. Okay? And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you stay up to date with everything we do right here on Mostly Wrong Opinions, all right? And if you did like this review, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It does help out the channel. Or you can hit that thumbs down. And there's no reason to really hit the thumbs down on this thing. There really isn't. You cannot.
Maybe you like it. Maybe you think this is a great movie. I don't know why. Maybe if you've never seen any movie ever, I don't know why you picked this one. Or maybe you're the director's cousin and you're just like, hey, defending my blood, that kind of thing.
If that's it, that is your opinion, director's cousin. But just remember one thing, you are mostly wrong. Now tell your cousin, get out of the damn director's chair.